Welcome back to One Up Racing, and in the last episode you saw me completely paint the engine bay on the cage Cinquecento ready to put the 16 valve engine in. Spoiler alert, the engine's in the car. But first, before I show you how I got that engine in the car and any little things that you need to know and problems that come up along the way, we need to move the shifter setup from underneath the car to inside the car, which I pretty much outlined in the last episode for many positive reasons. And obviously drilling holes in the firewall and everything is way easier without the engine in it. Now I did take one route of how to do that. I bought a part, I drilled the holes, I started running the cables in a certain way and it didn't work out, but I've left it in so you can learn from my mistakes rather than watching the way that it went right and went all completely okay and then thinking, actually I won't do it like that, I'm going to do it a different way. It's going to show you the way not to do it because it won't work. So either way, let's get cracking with this episode, probably with me measuring some stuff with some masking tape and then drilling some fat holes in a perfectly good piece of metal. We're going to be moving the gear selector from the underneath the car inside the car using this K-Tune style firewall grommet, which we're going to be drilling and putting into the firewall. Then we're going to be running these shifter cables through that grommet. And there is absolutely nothing then getting in the way of us actually bolting this 16 valve engine up into the engine bay so I can finally get it down on its wheels and we can crack on with everything else. Now, I will say, and I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because I need to order it and see if it's going to work, I have come up with what I hope is a very cool idea for chucking out this shifter and putting something real sweet in there. And if this works out, you're going to want to see this because this could be the chance for you to have a super good shifter for your Cinquecento, Cinquecento or other Fiat actually from this kind of general era for not a lot of money. Stay tuned. Any of you that haven't actually seen one of these before, now on Honda Civics where you're doing, or like CRXs or anything, you're doing like a K20 swap in, K-Tuned is this real big hitters in the game. And one of the things they do is a little block like this, little aluminium block, and I believe it usually bolts onto where like the heater hoses go through into a car or something like that. And it basically means you can run a K20 engine and then one of their really awesome K20 shifter setups. Now, what I noticed when my man Joe was fitting his gear selecting stuff a little while ago is he used one of these, and these are about £8 off eBay if you're willing to wait for it to turn up from China. And all it really does is you drill the holes you need in a piece of metal. So let's say for argument's sake it was this, it's not going to be, then this fits over your cables. So obviously it's got a split to fit over it, and then the two bits fit together, and then this bolts against that flat surface. And then what it does is it seals this completely, because obviously then you've got this nice rubber block, and it stops your cables or hoses or whatever you're going to use rubbing against the metal that you've drilled. Now these holes even aren't quite the right size. This one might be okay, but this is real hard rubber, so it should be pretty easy to do with a decent drill bit. And we will need to do one more for that reverse lockout as well. So where I'm going to be doing it, for anyone who needs to know, is this is where obviously the steering rack is. There is a flat section just under here, and I'm really hoping it's going to have enough space to get the cables up and up into where they... And this is where I'm going to jump in, and this is the part that I mentioned that I'd actually done wrong. So that K-Tune style block, it's not going to work with the thickness of it and the steering rack being in the way. Once I'd actually sort of got to the point where I was bolting it up, I drilled all the holes and everything, I could see that it was just going to have to come up too much of an angle, and I had horrible visions of the shifting being terrible on it. So I've abandoned the idea. I'll keep it for something else because it's actually a really nice piece of kit. But the one method I'm going to use is actually arguably a bit simpler, a little bit cheaper, and I will be covering that again in a second. The other thing as well is I went to all the effort, obviously making a nice cardboard template of it, and then I binned that idea off because it wasn't working as well. I put tape on the firewall, and then I used the bracket on there, and I drilled round it, did the holes, which is a much easier way of doing it because you can make sure you get all the holes in place. But obviously in the end, all I needed to do was mark for the two holes where the cables were going through. I didn't need to worry about where all the four holes were going and all that stuff. So it's my bad. If I'd have thought about this other option first, I could have put the holes a little bit closer together and had them on a nice flat piece of metal. So learn from my mistakes. You can't use a K-Tune style block to run your cables through. So all you need to do is worry about getting enough space between the two holes that when you drill them, they don't become one big hole. So anyway, back into the action. If you hear me mention that K-Tune shifter block again at some point during the video, or you see it appear, ignore it. It's just because I want to leave the bits in where you see me drilling all the holes and stuff. So yeah, cut that last 15 minutes of video out and we'll shorten this up lovely. For those of you that have never taken one of these apart, it is dead easy, you'll be glad to know. There is a bolt here, which I think is 8mm, or at least the socket that fits is 5/16, whatever that is. That takes the reversing cable out, and then you'll see one there this one, and one there. These, you have to basically just get something under there, screwdriver, whatever you need, to slowly but surely hammer them off, because it's like a fork that holds the cable in. And there's just little clips here, which you'll be able to see when you come to do it. These, you just basically have to put a screwdriver in here, pop these off, because these come off sideways as well, and you better take the whole unit apart. And if everything goes to plan, I'm not going to need this part at all. And that is all taken apart. Now, fundamentally, this is all you need to change gear on a Cinquecento. Obviously, you need something that the cables stay on, so as you move it backwards and forwards, the actual inner of the cable moves and not the whole thing. But really, if you're moving your shifter inside the car, this is the main bit you need. Now, again, you're going to have to wait until a later episode for me to tell you exactly what my plan is for this, because I need all of the parts and prove it. But my hope is the actual shifter setup that will be made using this is going to be super, super cool. Should look really good. And it should be something that you can all mimic pretty easily. Now, these are the cables. I've got all 3 cables here. I'm going to be using these just for mock-up, because I'm going to need to be drilling holes and stuff like that and routing them and everything like that. These ones look a little bit toast. I think they're getting on a little bit. I don't know why. One's a bit rusty and stuff like that. But as luck would have it, and I did kind of forget that I got it, I got this one with the car as well, and it looks all but brand new. The cables look new. I mean, he has painted the ends red, so I'll just paint those black. But the shifter itself looks mint. The cables look basically brand new as well. So I'm going to use this when it actually comes to putting the shifter and stuff in the car. But for the time being, at least, I'll be using all this one for mock-up. Here we go. And it's time for an important tea break, because some tea breaks are important sometimes. Give you a chance to think. Now, while I'm doing that, you may notice that I don't have my One Out Racing hoodie on. Can't remember if I had it on before this anyway. But regardless, the reason I've done that is because I want to ruin this hoodie. I like it too much. And if you would like a hoodie that you like too much to ruin in your garage, then they are currently up for sale. You may have seen this in a previous post. But my One Out Racing zipped hoodies with the logo on the front in white and the full coloured logo in the back are now available on my online store. Slightly different setup from before, but you can now order it direct from the company and they'll ship it straight to you for a very, very reasonable price, about £3 postage, which is way better than my previous ones. They're about £25, £26 for the hoodies. There is a non-zipped one as well now. I've put that on there by request by some of my mates, so you can get one zipped or non-zipped. And the One Out track tops with the long sleeves, and the big One Out Racing on the front, navy blue with yellow, and the black with the multicolored original logo on it as well, again by request, are all up. All the links with what link takes you to what product will be in the description below. So yeah, if you want to keep nice and snug on your tea breaks, you know where to go. Now, just while I started drilling this hole here, it's just really important to say that I actually disconnected the steering rack in the end. It's just the 2 bolts, I think they're 17mm, and the one just inside on the actual steering column itself. Just pulled it out of the way, otherwise it'd be nearly impossible to get this drill in here. This is actually a 25mm hole drill, and I think I then step drill it up to 28mm at a later date, just in case I forget to mention it. And that is at least the start of one hole. Now, it's not too bad. Like I said, it's double skin, but I didn't realise there was quite such a gap. There's like a decent gap between this skin and the inner one. But like I said, just take your time, and hopefully that's going to be all right. Now, this one is definitely going to be trickier because there's like a little bit of a dip here. And I think I'm going to be drilling right on the edge of it, which is going to add a little bit of a complication. But essentially, I'm going to drill this hole next, and I'm just going to keep stepping them up until the cables will fit through. While I'm just setting my drill up for this next bit, I do get a little bit philosophical when I'm out here sometimes. Dead quiet. I haven't got a particularly quiet life. It's pretty busy. So when I am out here, it's nice. It's nice to chill out. And it does get me thinking. And I'm usually chatting to my friends on the car groups, because I've got a private one that I'm usually talking to people on it. And you start hearing about all these setbacks, or it's going really well. And then sometimes, you know, things don't go to plan, or people find something wrong with their car, or we get other setbacks with stuff. And I just sort of makes myself realise that you need to build a car for a reason. You need to know what your enjoyment is and why you're building something. Don't build it for other people. If your main enjoyment is just driving a car, don't spend 8 months building one in a garage and hating every minute of it, because what's the point? Just build something quick. Buy something that's built, or do something just cheap and fun, then go drive it. If your love is building something, then don't let people try and rush you and say, oh, you've been building that thing for 5 years, hurry up. If your main thing is enjoying building cars, screw everyone else. just build it. Now mine's somewhat in the middle. I don't enjoy building them as much as I used to sometimes. I like doing the kind of mods and stuff. When it comes to fixing and these just nasty jobs, sometimes I am like, what am I doing? But I enjoy driving it. I enjoy doing videos. I enjoy seeing my friends and doing car stuff enough that it outweighs it. Don't do this junk if you don't enjoy it and you don't get any enjoyment out of it. Go find something else to do. But regardless, I'm hoping when you watch these videos, it encourages you to go and do those things. Get out in the garage and fix your car. Go out for a drive. Buy a car you enjoy more. Whatever it is, don't just sit here watching YouTube all day. Take some inspiration from mine and other videos. Get cracking. Go and enjoy yourself. So with that said, I'm going to go not enjoy drilling this hole. Right, I'll apologise now for the camera and audio in this bit, but actually that wasn't too bad. So you can see there's the 2 new holes, and that means the cables will come up there, right across here, boom, up to where the shifter will end up being bolted somewhere about there. Now I have already tested the cables and I was right, that hole is definitely not big enough, but it's not a million miles out. So this is the bit that will get interesting. I just need to step drill this up a little bit. So I'm not going to talk anymore, show you any more of this. Just let me step drill these up, and hopefully then when I come back, the cables will be in there, the old ones at least, for us to test fit it. And then you can see whether all this has been worth it. And there'll be no more hold-ups putting the engine in. Do you know what? That actually wasn't as bad as I thought. I'm going to say now, straight off the bat, make sure you're careful when you're drilling these types of holes, especially with the step drill. I think I've said this before, with this sort of thickness of metal and the angles you're working with and stuff, especially if you've got a drill like mine where like the ratchet is getting really worn out. So I have to have mine on the full drill mode. And what that means is every now and again, it wants to snap round. So as long as you're ready for it, you're doing it nice and slow and you keep your hand on the other side of the battery when it does, you're not going to break your wrist. And it sounds stupid, but if you're holding on to that really tightly and that suddenly lets go, you'd be surprised. But either way, I've got the holes drilled on the inside. I had to go around and sit in the car and do the step drill from there. I've done the one to the outside. It is just big enough to squeeze the wires through. One end's slightly smaller than the other, I have found out. So all I need to do now, probably get the power file out, just clean up all these edges so there's no little burrs and horrible bits like that. Get the hammerite or something, maybe some sort of Ron Seal type paint. I'll paint around those. I may even spray something down inside that kind of area while I'm here. And this is where I'm just going to jump in. So from this point onwards is where I've now worked out the new method of doing it. It doesn't involve that block, and all the new parts have turned up and everything's looking tickety-boo. Just in case you wonder why this video sort of starts as if I'm mid-conversation, because I've assumed that I've told you this already. Now it's actually a different day, as you can see, from it being pitch black outside, and I've made some exceptional progress, partly because I've ordered the right bits and partly because I've got some great mates. So we're going to touch on the right bits first. So I did actually order some grommets for this, the holes I've drilled for the gearbox cables, and they are these. In case you were struggling to understand what I was talking about, these little rubber grommets. I actually got silicone ones again because they'll last way longer than rubber ones, and I've already test fitted it in the hole and it fits in there beautifully. This is what I've done. Yeah, so now the sealant's just drying at the moment. So I've put the little grommet on, the little silicone grommet, and I've put sealant underneath it. It's going to let those dry. They look like they've done a lovely job. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it looks somewhat factory. I don't know how well they're going to perform, but I'm sure they'll be fine. I've done the same on the inside, but I haven't sealed those in yet because obviously I haven't painted the inside floor yet. So that's basically done now. So all I need to work out, because I'm an idiot, and I didn't think about this, is the reverse. But actually, I think I'm going to run the reverse underneath still. There's no real reason for me not to. These are dead easy to extend. All it needs to do is when you pull the cable the other end, it pushes this little bit up into there. Oh, it would if I did it. And it allows you to get it in reverse. That is it. And the other end, in case any of you people have never seen one of these, man, it's hard to do this one-handed. It's just like a bike cable. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to run it underneath the car so I don't have to drill any more holes. Run it up into the existing hole up there. I'll maybe put a little tiny grommet, and if it comes to it, rather than it going in through the front and looping up, it's going to go straight up. If it comes to it, I'll just buy a little extension kit for these, like you can get on loads of things, 2 little blocks, and then just extend the top, and it can do reverse as per normal. So I'm pretty happy with that slight compromise. Right, let's now fit the engine. Right, you can't ever tell me I don't have safety at hand. Now, I'll be honest with you, it does look a lot worse than it actually is. So like I said, I just lifted this end up, put that block there. So I reckon that's probably raised it probably about as much as that block, if I'm honest. That part of the gearbox is really close to the floor. And then this one, same thing. I've put that under the sump. So again, the sump was probably about that far off the floor. So it's done, you know, it's going to be close. And this piece of wood here is just because now the engine wants to tip forward, because obviously now I'm lifting it up just by these two blocks. So that's just under the exhaust manifold just to stop it keep tipping forward and hitting this slam panel here. Now I am somewhat confident. Now if I show you the gap that I've got to try and close up still, it is that. Now all I'm going to do is slowly but surely drop the jack on one side, then the other side, and then the other side, and just go down slowly so it's not too much of an angle, and just hope now that engine's been raised a little bit, it's going to be able to get down onto those engine mounts. And I've got the holes vaguely lined up so I don't have to do too much shoving around. So wish me luck. And as simple as that, I've 16 valve converted my Cinquecento. If only it was that easy. Right. Now, I'm not going to lie, I think I spent so much time with this engine down on the floor, sort of under the engine bay, I'm almost surprised how high up it sits. Now, it is definitely tight. It is definitely tight, mostly just around this little section here. So getting the headlight in is going to be a little bit interesting. Yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And it is obviously going to sit a little bit different once the actual gearbox is mounted up to the bottom, because I haven't put a gearbox mount on yet. But either way, as rightfully pointed out to me by a couple of people, and I didn't really listen, is that you can't fit the timing belt cover here because it's just too big. So I'll figure something out, but the bottom one looks like it's all right. So yes, this one fought me a lot. For anyone who comes to do this, these two bolts here are quite easy because you can twist the engine mount and the actual holes are slotted, so you can kind of get them there or thereabouts. Just don't tighten them up too much, because this one obviously you're dealing with one hole and there is no allowance for any kind of movement. It has to be bang on directly on the hole. So in the end, I had to just keep on moving it around, lowering the car more and more and more and more on this side. And obviously as I was lowering it, it was kind of pushing the engine up this side, because obviously I'd already bolted in. So definitely do the right hand side first, then come back and do the left one. And because there's been far too much talk in this episode already, I apologize for that. There was just so much I needed to cover. Make sure you knew why I wasn't doing stuff and why I was. But regardless, the engine is now bolted up. In the next episode, we're going to crack on with drive shafts, fuel lines, start figuring out everything with the wiring, that kind of stuff, getting the radiator in, uprating fans, all these kind of things. I don't know what order yet. We'll just keep cracking. And obviously we'll make progress with the shifter setup as well. Again, once that part turns up, if this works out, it is going to be great. But thank you so much for sticking with me for this one. I will try my best to make the next one a little bit more coherent. This was all new territory for me, so, you know, it was bound to happen. But either way, I hope you're as excited about this 16 valve project as I am now that we're making some proper progress. I will see you soon.